Well, I thought that was a really tough and gritty win for our young ladies. Have a lot of respect for all the teams in our conference, but I think Texas Tech does such a good job of playing really, really hard and making things really difficult for you in so many different ways. They turned us over in a lot of different situations. I thought we grew during the course of the game, made some adjustments, and got a little bit better. Obviously, the end of the game took a long time. You guys were there. That was a long time. We didn't execute as well as we wanted to during some of those stretches, and that's a good opportunity for us to learn from and get better. At the same time, it was Alumni Day for us, so we had, I think it was at least 24 former players who were here. I think one former manager, so 25 total in terms of alumni, but a great turnout. Really, really fun to see those women that were here and how they have so much excitement and pride in the Mountaineers, and it's just really cool to see all of them out there and be able to spend the pregame and the kind of the postgame with them.
Questions for Coach?
4 wins in 5 games. What's clicking for your team right now?
We're improving. I think that's the biggest thing. We're recognizing, we're making adjustments, and I thought this was a good opportunity for us to learn because I thought, Tech did a really good job of kind of packing in the lane and making life really difficult, and we had to learn to move it and not necessarily early attack in our offense, and that's something that we have to continue to grow at and get better and then recognize when we can attack and how to attack, and I thought that was really good for us. So I think we're improving, and I thought we saw that even the growth throughout this game.
Recognizing how to attack. Started the game for your first 6 shots, I believe, were from beyond the arc. And
how many did we make?
1.
Okay.
And then you started to drive it more, and that kind of opened things up. Is that what you were looking for? You just didn't get early, or is that something that you kind of made an adjustment on?
No, I thought we got really good shots throughout. I think they started in a zone and you kind of extended it, and I thought we were getting really good shots against it, and we saw a couple different zone looks, saw some different things that they did against us defensively. Had to continue to make adjustments. So I don't know that we shot the ball. We didn't shoot the ball very well from the arc, but we made some timely shots. I thought we executed down the stretch, and we got to the free throw line, and we scored it from the free throw line. And so those are really big things. 3 games in a week is pretty heavy on your legs. The travel in between, that's a challenge. And I thought our young ladies played with a lot of toughness and resiliency in that game.
Coach, for 2 years now, JJ has kind of shown what her game is. It probably doesn't show up in the scouting report that she's a rebounder, but
Right.
she gets 10 boards tonight, so
It's impressive.
you get somebody like that to go outside of their normal game and do something like that. What's that mean, and is it kind of fun to watch as a coach for something like that?
Well, it's really fun to watch, and I think what JJ found a way today to make a major impact on the game in a way that maybe we haven't seen that as much. I think it's something that she's continuing to learn and she's continuing to grow. And she's someone who can do so many different things. We've seen her offensive rebound really well today, defensive rebound really well. I think she's someone who can get to the rim, but it was really hard to get to the rim against Tech because they just really kind of made the lane really challenging to get in there. And I thought, she and I think Maddie too had some really timely penetrate kick opportunities, and we hit some of those shots. So really important to see her game continuing to grow. I'm really proud of her for how she found a way today.
After the way things went in the second half at Kansas, and then they came out in the third quarter and jumped in front, how were you guys able to kind of bounce back from that when they went up 3 or 4 points, I believe? And you seemed very animated that the ball needed to keep moving. And
Did I? The ball needed to move. We were having a hard time scoring because we were, again, trying to attack right away. And their defense is good at taking that away from you. And so, again, I thought we adjusted. And I think that's something that this group is continuing to learn how to do. And I thought they did a really good job of that throughout. So that was good to see.
Was ball movement the biggest message of that timeout in the third quarter?
It was at halftime in that time on the third quarter, yes. And the great part about our young ladies is that they did that, had to trust that was going to work because we're really comfortable coming down and attacking early, and so they had to make an adjustment, and I thought they did a really good job with that.
Is that what you think helped you guys make the 5 threes in the fourth quarter, that ball movement that you worked on?
Well, they're so good. Tech's so good at kind of making life difficult right away. They take a lot of charges when you're driving. They help, and you almost have to penetrate kick quickly. A lot of times you can get to the rim far deeper in the lane, and they'd take that away from you. And so what I thought our kids, young ladies, did is they started to move it, then attack a little bit later, and then as the defense was shifting, it created some really big gaps. And so I thought we did a good job of recognizing how to attack in a little bit different way than maybe we've been comfortable attacking in the past.
You guys did a really good job at not fouling quite a bit, right? And especially in the first half, and then the end of the game kind of was what it was. But is that something that you're really trying to focus on in practice with, or how can you coach that?
Well, I think we don't have a lot of size per se, and so the hard part for us is we've got to do a really good job of trying to finish plays and rebounding, and we also have to try to do a really good job of keeping them away from the rim as much as possible because we don't have an eraser inside per se. Not many people do in women's basketball. We've seen a couple though in the Big 12 this year, but I do think that our awareness defensively, we made some adjustments in how we guarded some different things going into this game without a lot of prep time. And so I give our young ladies a lot of credit for being able to make some of those adjustments and how we guarded certain ball screens and kind of how we got around in front and what we did with some of that stuff. So I thought we are intentional. We're trying not to, but sometimes you get a little tempted to still go get one. And then we usually get called for a foul.
You all had 2 different 5-minute scoring droughts throughout the game. What do you tell your team in those situations whenever you're in a rut and having a hard time getting out?
Well, I think we have to get stops, but I think there are a few things. One, it depends on, are we getting quality shots, or are we turning it over, or are we taking tough shots? And so I think the message kind of depends on what it looks like. I thought there was a stretch. We were getting really good shots. We just weren't making them against the zone. I thought we had 3 or 4 really good looks, and we didn't make them. And so then the message was we need offensive rebound. Evidently, I was animated in the second half in the third quarter that we had to move the ball. So that was a different message. So I think it just depends on what we're doing at that time, what the message looks like.
I believe Jayla's got 3 double-doubles now this season, 2 this week. Have you noticed anything different from her during this stretch, or is it just matchups hitting her stride, or what do you see?
I think she's someone, too, that's continuing to kind of grow her game in a lot of ways. I thought there was a possession, and I think it was in the third quarter, it might have been the fourth quarter, where she was attacking. She's so good at getting rebounds and pushing up the court, and Texas Tech is so good at taking charges in those situations. And so we're trying to tell her just to be in control. They try to take charges, and I thought she did a really good job because she's learning how to, again, slow down a little bit and make some reads. But defensively was really, really solid. I think she did a great job, guarding inside and finishing plays, and down the stretch was just kind of clearing boards, all over the place. So she did a really good job. She's a very, very good rebounder.
The foursome of JJ, Jayla, Kylie, and Maddie, they've been really good for you here over the last 5-game stretch. Is this the production from those 4 in particular you kind of envisioned at the start of the season?
Well, I think there have been different matchups, different looks, but I think, we have a lot of young ladies who are playing at a pretty high level, whether that means they're scoring or they're facilitating or they're getting the ball moving for us in a lot of different ways. Kylie showed a lot of toughness, I think, today because she sprained her ankle pretty good in the last game and, has been kind of living in the training room to some extent to be able to come back and play. And I thought she moved really well and got out and defended some ball screens at a pretty high level for us and did some things. But I do think that we're learning, and I thought today was a good step for us in learning, again, a different way to attack, how to attack, but then still get some of the things that we got in our early offensive looks, but later in the shot clock, because we had to get them later in the shot clock against Texas Tech.
Coach, you've almost finished your first trip around the Big 12. What's it going to take to be successful in this league?
It takes a lot of toughness, I'll tell you that. It takes a lot of awareness, takes a lot of toughness, and I think it takes a find-a-way mentality. There are some games that we may have scored more efficiently than we did today. This was a game that we didn't score very efficiently. We didn't do as good a job taking care of the basketball, so we had to really rely on our defense, and I thought, our young ladies found a way. And so I think that's a really big message within our program. It doesn't always go the way you want it to go, but you still have to kind of figure out what it's going to take and work to get that done.
We had JJ in here. She said when asked about the alumni, one of them had a story about pushing the bus up the hill. Did you have a favorite alumni story from when they were around your team?
This was really cool. I think we got a couple pictures of it too. So yesterday after practice, there's 8 or 9 alumni who were at our practice, and then after practice, spent a little bit of time, and they all got introduced and shared what number they wore because that was kind of neat, and then told their favorite story. And our play, if you could see the faces of our players when they were listening to these stories, because they've probably lived part of it, or they're so shocked by it, like, you had to push a bus. What are you talking about? That is crazy. So I think there were quite a few that made our players laugh, and that was really, really neat to be a part of that. And to have them in the locker room after the game was something that was pretty special. I kind of laughed at Georgianne trying to get everyone high fives, and Kylie missed her, and she was like, "Kylie, get over here," and she gave her a low five. But I think it's really neat that we had so many alumni come back, and they seemed like they were having an awful lot of fun, and because they had so much joy in telling their stories, that our players really had a lot of fun with it too. So I don't know if I have a favorite story with that, but it was really cool to see how excited our players were.
What kind of value does that add to the program when you're able to bring the alumni around and kind of make that connection with your team?
Well, networking is really important, certainly in this day and age, in so many different ways, not just in jobs later on after their basketball careers are done, but just I think it builds a sisterhood, if you will, and there's like that family type of atmosphere, and I think it's kind of like, hey, we've all been through this, we can do this, you're doing this, we're with you, we're behind you, those type of things, and so it's really, really special. I was really excited. Honestly, I didn't do a great job of getting all the information out there quickly enough because there's been a lot going on this year. We've been a little bit busy because you're with everything else going on. So to the alumni who are watching this who didn't get the invitation soon enough, I apologize. That was on me. So that will be better next year. Is our 50th celebration, our anniversary of women's basketball here at WVU. So next year will kind of be a really, really special year for us to do that as well.